Yo, 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 what's up? This is John from Jay's Innovation Garage in the Peach Capital of the state. Today, what is that? This right here is an old-timey mirror, and I'm gonna try to stay on topic. So, I gotta stain this, so I figured, why not go live? Why not go live and let everybody join in the party of sanding? So I'm just hitting this with some 120 to take the old varnish off, get it down to the raw. I was about to say raw metal, down to the raw wood. And then once I get it all done, then I'm gonna revarnish it with Polyshade. It's the stain and poly all in one step, and I'm doing it in espresso. So this is the old mirror. There's a date stamped on the back side of the mirror. I'm gonna try to see if I can see what the date of it is, because it's pretty old. I smell Marlboro. I smell some daggone Virginia Slims. And then I'm going live again at 6. We'll talk about the Impala, what I found out about the brakes as of whatever time it is, 2:30 today. If you live in the United States, you need to go vote. It's your right to vote, and it's also your right not to vote. And you say, what do you say, Jay? Well, it's a big thing to vote, all right? You know, it's a big deal to vote. Even if you vote, you know, on the small level, you know, for your local government. And this video here ain't about politics or religion or any of that. It's just me talking out loud. So here at the shop, I can do just pretty much anything. You know, I'll paint you if you sit still. Get to pick and choose what I want to do. That's the wonderful thing of being a business owner. So cleaning up this picture frame, and I'm gonna stain it, like I said, and I'm gonna try to be as gentle as possible, because this bad boy right here is old. I don't know how old it is, but it's old, so don't want to break it apart. If I do, I'll fix it, but the glass in it's like 3/8 thick. So like I said, I'm just going over this with 180 to take the varnish off of it, and then I'm gonna clean it up real good, and I'll probably go back over it with 220, and then I'll stain it. And I'm probably gonna use these cloths to stain it. And I know this ain't car content. This is life content. This is content of a business owner. And also I want to let everybody know, I think I seen this morning I'm up at 1,676 followers. Man, I appreciate you. And we're almost to 1,700. But I really appreciate you. But back to the voting. What y'all think about voting? How y'all feel about it? You know, you feel like your vote has got a choice? You know what I mean? And like I said, I'm not getting into politics, not getting into religion. I'm just asking about the institution of voting itself. Do you think your vote matters? Do you think your vote matters? Me being prior military and a veteran, you know, there was at one time when people couldn't vote. There was a time in society where you couldn't vote unless you was a landowner. Did y'all know that? They probably don't teach that in school no more. Hold on, I'm working on it. This thing's locked up. Look, it ain't moving. All right, y'all hang on. I'm gonna see if I can fix this. I would turn it off and come back, but y'all just hang tight. Let me see if I can fix this. Hang tight. What about now? How about now? I don't know what happened. It didn't die. I'm on this other one. What about now? Can you hear me now? Lost a few people. It's all right. They'll come back. All right. So I don't know. It just locked up. I'm gonna set that right there. All right. Can you still hear me? Hey, Ginger Roger 711. Can you still hear me? Can you still hear me? Give me a thumbs up. I'm gonna turn this thing sideways so I can watch the green light. So if it goes out, let me know. Anyway, I don't know how much you heard, how much. So I am gonna go. I know it's scheduled to go live at 6 tonight, right? Did you see that on your end? GR 711. I'm gonna talk about the Impala brakes, what I found out. But right now, I figured that I'll show you how to just stripping the old varnish off of this old picture frame, and I'm going to restain it. So back to what I was saying. If you live in the United States, today is election day. I don't care nothing about it. Well, I mean, I ain't watching the news. I don't even watch the news anyway. But it is your right to vote. 5 p.m. on my time. Okay, got you. Okay, so we're an hour difference. So I don't care, like, so it's your right to vote, okay? And it's also, there was a guy this morning, you know, I was at this place, I was waiting, and there were several people in there, you know, and I guess you could say trending, you know, the election and all that crazy madness, you know. And he says, there was a lady in there talking, and, you know, and then there was a guy in there, and he was probably in his 60s. I'm Central Time. Okay, cool. There was a guy in there, you know, there was a guy in there. He's probably, I don't know. I don't want to assume that's how old he was, but he looked like he was like late 50s, maybe early 60s. And they were talking, you know, about voting and stuff. And he says, the lady, you know, the old lady, you know, they like to talk. I like to talk. She said, she said, honey, young man, are you voting? I said, yes, ma'am, I'm voting. And, bro, we're from where? I don't know. Where you from? She said, are you voting? I said, yes, ma'am. I sure am. And she said, yeah, me too. She said, I early voted. And I said, well, that's cool. I said, well, I said, you probably remember a time when you couldn't vote. And she looked at me and she says, yep, you right. She said, I'm 79 years old. She said, I remember a time when women couldn't vote. I said, yeah. I said, I'm sure you did. I said, I also remember when you couldn't vote unless you had land. And she said, what? And I said, I remember a time where you couldn't vote unless you was a landowner. And she said, yep, you're right. Well, the other guy, she looked at the guy sitting beside her, you know. She said, she said, are you voting? She said, sir, are you voting? And he said, nope, I ain't voting. And she said, you're not voting? He said, nope. And I said, really? He said, nope. I said, if you don't mind me asking, why ain't you voting? Why don't you vote? And if you do mind, just tell me to piss off. He said, oh, no, I'll tell you. He said, I've never voted, ever. I said, never? He said, nope, never voted. I said, really? He said, yeah. He said, I'm 58 years old. He said, I've never voted. And he says, I've never voted. And I said, really? He said, yep. He said, I've never voted. I said, why? He said, don't care to. And I said, you don't care to? He said, nope, I don't see the purpose in it. He said, they've already decided what they was going to do and what they ain't going to do. And I said, well, and before I could get it out, he said, I know what you're going to say. There's people that's fought. There's people that's died. We've went to war. We've done this. We've done that. We've done that. We've done all this stuff so I can vote. I said, yeah, you're right. He said, but we also done all that stuff so I don't have to vote. He said, you say it's our right to vote. I said, yeah. I said, yeah, it sure is. He said, it's also my right not to vote. So when you think of it like that, I see his point and I respect his point. He don't have to vote. That's his right. And then that little lady, she said, well, sir, you know there's people in other countries that would love to have the opportunity that you have to vote. And he said, yep, you're right. And he says, if they want to have that opportunity, then they need to come here. So that was one guy. And then a subscriber, I can't even talk. A subscriber called me and this morning, and we were talking, and I said, well, hey man, don't forget, don't forget to go vote today. And he got quiet on me, and I'm pretty sure he's probably watching this. He got quiet on me. I said, man, you still there? He said, yeah, I'm here. He said, you kind of put me on the spot. I said, what do you mean? And he said, you're probably going to be mad at me. I said, why? He said, I'm not voting. I said, okay. I said, why would I be mad? He said, because I'm not voting. I said, I ain't going to be mad if you're not voting. I'm not going to be mad if you're going to be voting. He said, you sure? I said, no. I said, man, it's your right to vote or not to vote. I mean, I'm just saying, if you're going to vote, don't forget to vote. The polls closed today. Don't forget to vote if you're going to vote. And he said, man, he said, I've never voted. I said, never? He said, nope, I've never voted. And I said, really? So he's probably 40. I was thinking about this time, but I never voted. I was thinking about this time, but I have never voted. I have never got into it. See? I appreciate you. 39. Well, I appreciate you sharing that with me. And hey, look, I told one of the subscribers that called me this morning. He's like, are you mad at me because I'm not voting? I said, no, man, I'm not mad at you. If you don't want to vote, don't vote. Ginger Rogers 7-Eleven, if you don't want to vote, don't vote. That's your choice. That's your choice. That's what I tell about. It's your choice not to vote. But I also said this. If you don't vote, you ain't got no place to complain about what's going on. That's the only thing I got to say. You vote ever how you want to vote. You vote this way or you vote that way. And that's fine. At least you participate. But if you don't participate, you shouldn't get a trophy. Well, let me take that back. If you don't participate, then I don't think you have a dog in the fight, as they say. So if you vote, you vote. And if it goes your way, congratulations. If you vote and it don't go your way, congratulations. Welcome to Republic. We're not a democracy, we're a republic. That's what kills me. But nevertheless, that's none of that. So it ain't gonna matter if I jump up and down, scream, holler, yell, cuss, cut up flat tire. It ain't gonna matter. If I get all mad, it ain't gonna change whatever's gonna happen. So I try to tell people, and I try to do it too. Don't worry. Hold on. I just want my money back because of the economy. Hold it. What I do saying is Trump, but I don't get to. Yeah. This is the way I look at it. I can only control what I can do. I can't control what's around me, but I can control how I respond to what's around me. So I can only control my actions, right? So if something is going crazy in my domain, I got two choices. I can't control what's going on, but I can control where I'm at, so I can remove myself from that situation, and then there's nothing going on around me. Now, if I stay in that situation and the stuff's going crazy around me, and I interact with that, it goes back to what I say. You can't cry when it's raining when you created your own storm. So I'm not a confrontational person, but that's all I'm gonna say. I love that freedom. Yep. That's the wonderful thing about it, man. That's the wonderful thing about it. We have the freedom to do what we want to. I have the freedom right now to sit right here on no YouTube and sand this 100-year-old picture frame, go live, and let somebody watch me be silly and like, why in the world is he going live talking about nonsense and sanding some old 100-year-old picture frame? What's that got to do with anything? What's that got to do with JG Innovation Garage? What's that got to do with building cars? It don't have anything. Well, I mean, it's the same concept. I'm sanding, I'm gonna clean it up, I'm gonna prep it, and I'm gonna stain it. So it's the same concept, it's just different product. I'm practicing on not being a ginger, you know. Look, Ginger Roger 711, I don't know you, okay? Don't know you from Adam's Hat Cat. But I can kind of guess that you are Ginger, because, you know, Ginger Rogers. I don't know what your real name is, but it's probably Roger or something of that nature. You're Ginger, so you put Ginger, and then 711. So either 711 is your zip code, or 711 is either your area code, or it's something way off. I'm not off that you ginger. You just hold on a sec. You said, I'm practicing on not being ginger, you know, a hothead. Dude, don't say your real name on here. Get that off of there. You know better than that. Oh, dude, I got a temper. I used to have a temper so bad, man. I used to have a temper. Bad. Well, I appreciate who you are. I mean, I appreciate you letting me know who you are. But yeah, don't put nothing personal on here. You want to tell me who you are? Text me. You know, my number's public. Look, my phone number's public. Tell me who you is. But yeah, did you vote? I sure did. I sure did. I voted, and I signed up when I was 17 and went to the Navy too. I joined early, a year early. Sure did. Sure did. I sure did. Now, what am I doing? I'm sanding. All right, look here. This is what it looked like. Had this varnish or something on it, and it might just be the cover. Might be just the color. I don't know. But I'm sanding all this off so I can put this mahogany on it. So you're very welcome. Very welcome. Yep, I joined early, 17. I knew I was going to the military when I was a wee little lad. And it is what it is. So, but is this car related? No. Could this help somebody? Hey, if somebody got something they want to stain, don't be scared of it. If you're scared of it, get in my pocket. You want a relationship, buy a dog. So what I'm doing is I'm just taking 180. It's 180 DA paper. Life is too short to worry about. Hey, I appreciate you bringing that back up because that's what I was going to say. That's where I was at. Yeah, I'm not going to worry about, you know, if something's going on in my immediate circle, I can't control what's going on. I can just control how I react to it. So anything, so I put it to you like this. I tell my students at the college, you know, look at your phone, the last 5 people you talked to, last 5 people you text, last people you know, Snapchat, Instagram, the last 5 people you interacted with, those last 5 people. If those 5 people are not stoking your fire, pushing you to the next level to be better today than you were yesterday and try to strive to be better tomorrow, then get rid of them. They're toxic. Not everybody deserves to be in your life. It is a privilege to be in somebody's life. Like right now, there's 12 people on here and I got 4 thumbs up. I'm privileged. I'm thankful that I got 13 people watching me and I have 2 people interact with me. I am very thankful for your time. That is motivation for me to keep going, to keep talking, and keep doing. If there was nobody on here and no foot traffic, I would just be sanding, you know, and I would go live for just a little bit, you know, to stay in the algorithm, you know, to stay relevant. And then I would just kill the feed and keep doing what I'm doing. So the last 5 people in your news, the last 5 people in your messages or text messages or phone calls or whatever, the last 5 people you interacted with, if they're not stoking your fire for you to be better now than you were yesterday and try to strive to be better tomorrow, get rid of them. They're toxic. You don't need nobody dragging you down. I don't care if it's your mama, your daddy, your brother, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your best friend, or the crowd that you hang out with. If they're not pushing you to be better, to strive to be better, then get rid of them. Because not everybody in your boat is paddling. There's some people in your boat that's like, yeah, man, keep going. Keep going. Like drilling holes. So, you know, that's how I feel about it. I learned that a long time ago at an early age. Not everybody's your friend. Not everybody wants to see you succeed. Not everybody wants you to be successful. Not everybody wants you to do good. And that's okay. That's human nature. You know, we say we want people to do good, but do we really? You got the same amount of time that I got. 86,400 seconds in a day. Don't waste 60 seconds on anything toxicity. Nothing. So when people complain about other people, man, it must be nice. He's got all that stuff. Yeah, it must be nice, all the sacrifice he had to get to where he had to get to. You know, how about that? Everybody wants to be in your shoes, but nobody wants to pay the price to get in your shoes. You know, it's like a blister. Shows up when the work's over. Like my son, he's 19. Like my son is 19. He is at the age to be putting his nose in the air, smelling for them hussies. Hey, you know it is deer season. You know it is rut. It is about to be rut here in North Carolina. Them bucks, the old necks is swelling up. They chasing them nanny does. Yeah. Well, at least he's chasing hussies, he's not, and he's not chasing the pipe. So, so I guess that's a good thing. Um, my oldest, he had a girlfriend a couple years ago, and uh, he tries to be whipped. Hey, we was all, hey, be easy on him. Be easy on him. We were all whipped at one time because if you wasn't whipped, you wouldn't be talking. You wouldn't be talking about you had a 19-year-old. You was there one time, so was I. You know, you know. It says in a good book to go out and procreate, but it also says you got to be a good daddy too. Cockroaches that have babies too, that don't make them daddies. You know. But anyways, uh, oh, he knows. Dude, that's that's funny. I gotta remember that. I'm picking up what you're laying down right there. I got you. I got you. That was funny. I appreciate that. My oldest boy, he dated this girl a couple years back, and he's real big into gaming, right? And I know there's a lot of people out there talking about, gaming's bad. Look, I'm a gamer, but when I can, I'm not as bad as I used to be. But you know, when I retire, that's all I'm gonna do is gaming. You make big money gaming. But anyways, we almost there, boys and girls. We almost there. I don't know how this thing's gonna turn out. I don't want it to look brand new. I still want it to look old and rustic. So if it looks like it's brand new, I might have to go back and sand it and make it look weathered because I don't want it to look brand new. They want it old and rustic looking. But anyways, he had this girl he's dating, right? And she's a cute little thing, you know. And but he's in the gaming, 3D design, game profiling, AutoCAD, modeling, networking, all that stuff, all that crazy stuff. And he got picked to do he got picked to do some beta testing. He got picked to do some beta testing, and he told her, he's like, hey, look, I got picked to do some beta testing on this game. And for the ones watching, if you don't know what that means there's companies out there that pick people that are high up in game profiles to get releases of new video games or new software or anything like that and test it out to find out all the bugs and everything that's going wrong with it or going right with it before it actually gets released to the public, right? And they pay you to do that, right? Not all companies, but some companies pay, right? So to pay to do some beta testing. Well, he got picked to do some beta testing. And he told her this, at school. And this went on several times, right? Several times. And he's like me, when in some sense, he gets his eyes focused on something, he's just like, he's just wide open, you know what I mean? And the world could be burning around him and he's just focused on that. That's a good thing and a bad thing. But nevertheless, he started beta testing like on a Friday. They knew he was in high school at the time, so they didn't want to do it during the week. So he don't have school on Fridays because he only goes to school on 4 days a week. The school he goes to, he don't go to public school, so they only go to school 4 days a week. So Fridays he don't have school at the time. So they released the beta testing. Well, he stayed on that beta testing Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, right? I mean, I had to go in there and like, hey, you still good in there? Yeah. Check this out. Show me all the and I'm talking graphics like just looks like just unreal, Well, he's got a cell phone, but he had it turned off. And all weekend, this little gal been calling him all weekend, right? Been calling him all weekend. Well, his phone's been turned off all weekend because he's been beta testing, right? And this has happened it's happened several times before. You know what I mean? So when he gets up, he turns his phone on Monday morning going to school, and it's just like ding, 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 ding. It's like the daggone slot machine at Vegas. This thing just won't shut up. And I'm like, boy, what in the world? He's like, all these messages. He said, let me put it in silent. I mean, just a oodle of messages from him, right? So they had been dating for a pretty good while. And he comes home from school, and I could tell his demeanor was a little changed, a little changed up. What y'all think? I'm getting there. His demeanor was changed up a little bit. You know what I mean? I said, you good? He's like, yeah, I'm good. And I said, how did your day go? Oh, it was fine. It was good. I was like, anything go crazy? No, everything's good. Well, I asked his brother, I said, how'd it go? He's like, it went pretty good. I said, yeah. And then he says, well, until this happened at lunch. And I said, what happened at lunch? And he said, I ain't gonna call nobody's name out, but he said she came up to Nathan and asked where this girl asked this boy named Nady where my boy was at. He said he's right over there. And she went up to him and she was talking to him. I tried to call you all weekend and blah, 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 and this and that, whatever. And he's like, well, I told you I was beta testing. He said, I had my first kid at 16 with the same wife. Hold on a second. Let me catch up. I had my first kid at 16 with the same wife today, 23 years later, 5 kids. My oldest, 22, pipe fitter. My oldest is a 22-year-old pipe fitter girl. Son's a stainless welder at 19. 18 works at a place that makes parts for the military. Well, how about that? Congratulations. Yeah. So same concept. I know about pipe fitters. Man, they make bank. They make paper. My kid, he was in the blacksmithing and welding and machining and all that stuff in high school and all the way, middle school, actually started in middle school, all the way up to high school. And so he was in high school, and this little gal, it's like, I've been trying to call you, blah, 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 whatever. And he's like, well, I'm sorry. I told you this beta test and whatever. And she's like, well, that beta testing is more important than me. And he's like, well, I mean, they're paying me, and he only had a time frame. Yeah, I got that. It says the oldest 22 is a pipe fitter girl, right? Your oldest is a girl. And then your son is 19, welds stainless. And then your 18 makes military parts for NASA. 60K at 18, right? I got all that right? Got it. And he's like, well, I told you I was doing this beta testing and only had 3 days to do it. And, and I had to get it done and blah, 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 whatever. And she's just on him like a duck on a June bug, saying, my mom and dad said you know, people that play video games don't have to do nothing, blah, blah, blah. They don't have to work. You know, I don't know the exact words she said. I'm just paraphrasing, you know. I kind of got the logistic of it. And she says, you know, she was the same age. And she's like, I got 2 jobs and I got to work and this and that, whatever. And you don't have to work. And all you do is sit around and play video games and blah, blah, blah. And he just looked. So my middle boy is the one that told me this. He didn't tell me this until later. I asked him. My middle boy said that my oldest just looked at her and said, you know what? And she's like, what? He said, my daddy told me that if the last 5 people I talked to is not stoking my fire, pushing me to the next level to be better today than I was yesterday, to get rid of them, they're toxic. It don't matter if they're my daddy, my mama, my brother, my sister, my best friend, my grandma, my grandpa, or some girl that I'm dating. And she's like, and he goes, takes his phone, he goes down through there and he goes, and she's like, what'd you do? He said, I just deleted you out of my phone. He said, I don't need that kind of drama in my life. And turned around and walked off. Left her standing there in front of God and everybody during lunch. And my middle boy said he wasn't disrespectful, he wasn't loud, he wasn't nothing. And just poof, and turned around and walked around and just left her standing like this. And he just walked off. And so she didn't know what happened. She didn't know. She didn't know what. She didn't even know what to say. I would have paid good money to see that. I mean, just left her standing there. Well, I told my middle boy, you know, because they were all in school together. I said, look, don't you get into it. Don't you get into it. You leave it be. If she comes up to you and tells you, hey, blah, 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 you tell her, not my business, not my concern. And I'm team brother. Don't matter whether he's wrong, right. That's right. Look, make the money now, get settled now, and deal with that craziness later. So my middle boy told her, said, look, I'm not in it. I'm team brother, so don't come at me sideways because it don't matter whether he's wrong or right. I'm team brother. And I've taught that, I've tried to push that to my kids, that you got to take care of yourself because ain't nobody else going to take care of it. And you got to take care of your brothers because ain't nobody going to take care of you. You have to look out for yourself and take up for each other, you know, no matter whether they're wrong or right, you know. And some time went by and, you know, she tried to get with, you know, she tried to talk to him or whatever, blah, 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 and this and that. And I could see her point, and I could see her, I mean, that could have been handled a whole lot different ways. You know what I mean? But if you look at it like this, she was the same age as my oldest boy. Her parents made her go get a job, and she worked. So she was going somewhere and she was working. She was a waitress at one place, and then she was like working at Food Line or Food King or Best Line or Winn-Dixie or something like that, back, you know, cashier. So she was working 2 jobs plus going to school. I get it. I was protected by my daughter because facts. So I understand where she was coming from, right? Her parents made her get a job. She had to do this, she had to do that, she had to do this. So she felt, I see, you know, she could have handled it a whole different way. She felt that, you know, that my boy didn't have to work. In her eyes, she didn't think he worked. Well, he does work. He works out here in the shop. I don't take pictures of him and nothing like that because you want to try to keep him innocent as long as possible. You know what I mean? So he did work here. He beta tested. They paid him to beta test. So he did have a job. He just didn't have a job as the way she's seen it, where he went somewhere and clocked in and went to work and stuff like that and blah blah blah. She didn't see it that way. She's like, oh, you just stay at home and play video games all the time, blah blah blah, blah whatever. She didn't see the other side of it. But he also had a 4.7 GPA too. So I mean, my rule is you worry about school. Income is money. Don't matter what the capital is. Facts. Don't matter if you're digging fishing worms. Making money's making money. So, I mean, he had a 4.7 GPA. He's got a 4.6 or 4.59 right now, and he's a machinist. He's in college. And he works. He works when he can. Putting up his money and stuff. And that's what she didn't understand. She thought because he didn't go somewhere and clock in and clock out, he was, I guess, a deadbeat. I'm not saying that that's what she thought. That's maybe what her parents told her. Oh, he's just a gamer. He ain't never going to make nothing. He's just a damn gamer. He's going to be in his mom and daddy's basement, 30 years old and be a gamer. Does people not know that the military look for gamers to run drone program, to run the drones with the computers on their arms to call in drone strikes? Because people that sit around and done this all the time, their eye and hand coordination is superior to somebody that doesn't do it, majority of the time. Anybody remember Super Mario Brothers? I forget what level it was, but you had to get up there and you had to halfway jump on that turtle, and you just sat there and just kept riding that turtle until you got unlimited lives, and it changed over and went to stars and flags and all that, and you could just get a million zillion lives. I mean, not everybody could have done that. I mean, in their concept that gamers. Now, I'm not saying that they're not right. That I just won't let my daughter go to the corner. Yeah, I mean, dude, you didn't even have to say that. I mean, that's a given. That's a no-brainer right there. Yeah, what in the world's going on here, Jackrabbit? 15% on the battery life on the phone. 3:15. I've been on there for 50 minutes. So, I don't want to say that somebody's uneducated when they make. If you don't understand that everything's going on, then people make rash decisions, and they make comments because they don't know the whole logistics of it. And that's why I try not to comment on something that I don't know what's going on, because I don't want to have to backpedal and say, well, which I've had before. I've come back and say, well, I was running on old information. Here's the new information. Here's an update. You know what I mean? And that's all fine and good. But like what you said earlier about your kid. So my kid made all those parts that y'all seen the other day. He made those just in one day, all those machine parts, those tools and stuff. And I mean, there's companies that's at that college, trying to scout the kids to come to work for them already. Well, my kid's under contract. He can't quit college. He's under contract. He can't quit. I mean, he can. If he does, he's got to suffer the consequences and the repercussions financially if he quits. So, as long as if he can get like outside, like there's a company that offered him a job to do Q&A, and they said they would work around his school schedule, and he could work whatever he wanted to work around his school schedule. And, he talked to him, like a big boy, he done all that stuff. And, he's, 18, 19, 20 years old, that time frame, like you said, your kids were, and, they offered him $55 an hour to come in and Q&A. And I'm thinking to myself, $55 an hour, and you can work all you want. Well, let's just make it even. $50 an hour at 40 hours a week, that's 2 G's. That's 2 bills. That's 2 stacks. That's $2,000. You know what I mean? Plus, you got school. I was like, you can't do both. You can't do both. You know, you're not going to let your education suffer to make the money. So you have to figure it out. So this just all happened here recently. So they're looking into things, you know, for next year, for the new school year in January, to work around his school schedule. And they're talking about letting him work remotely and pull up stuff on his own computer to Q&A stuff to make sure stuff's right and then submit it back. So dude, I built an office out here in the shop and put all of his stuff out here, and he can come out here and work 2:00 in the morning, you know, and you think about it. If he worked 10 hours a week, that's $500. If he worked 10 hours a week, don't worry about the taxes, just 10 hours a week, that's $500 a week. That's $2,000 a month. That's $24,000 a year. If he'd done that for 5 years and we're still here, and put it into an account where it makes interest, where you don't get sucked up, you know. I mean, in 5 years or 4 years when he graduates college, he can have 100 G's in the bank plus the interest. So if he's 20 years old, my son wants to drop out. I said, I will sign the papers if you write me. Yeah. So I mean, you get out in 20, you be 25 years old and get out of college, you got 100 grand in the bank that's been drawing interest for the last 5 years. And right now, State Credit Union, I think they pay the highest. I think it's like 5.6%. But you know, that can change whatever. And but the thing about it is, you know, if you don't have no bills, you graduated school. My son wants to drop out. Yeah. So about that plan. So let me tell you what one of my buddies did. One of my buddy's kids went to NC State, right? They got a scholarship for, I think the scholarship was good for 2 years, right? So they had a scholarship that would pay up to 2 years, and then they had to pay the rest, right? So my buddy told his daughter that he would pay, the scholarship would pay the first 2 years, and then he would pay the next 2 years, right? He's a businessman. He's more cutthroat than I am. And I guess looking at it, it's better because it teaches a lot. So he paid, the scholarship paid for the first 2 years, and then he was going to pay for the next 2 years. He wrote a contract. I about got this thing done. He wrote a contract with his daughter that he would pay the remaining 2 years for her college. And then once she got a job, she had 5 years to pay him back the 2 years at 1% interest. He said, I'm going to charge you interest, or like 1.5 or something like that. He said, I'm going to charge you interest. He says, if you go to college and you finish your first 2 years, and then your second years, the last 2 years, you do not complete it and you drop out, you have to pay me every bit that I was going to give you in the 2 years at 10.99% interest. He says, if you accept this deal, and while you're doing this, the whole time you're in school, now she lived on the dorms and all that stuff. He said, I will take care of everything else, where she didn't have to, if she wanted to get a job, she could get a job to make her some extra money, but he would give her an allowance where she had X amount of money. You know, he would keep her on his car insurance. He said, I'll do all the stuff that you don't have to worry about. But just as soon as you graduate, congratulations to the world, pull your big boy britches up, we fixing to get busy. And he says, if you want to do that, then sign this contract. Now, if you don't want to do that, that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. You pay the scholarship pays your first 2 years. You pay the next 2 years out of your own pocket and go on with it. He says, but if you do the first 2 years for the scholarship and then you don't complete your degree, he says, all benefits stop. He said, I stopped paying you insurance. I stopped giving you allowance. I stopped everything. So at the end of the 2 years, if you decide you don't want to go to school no more, that's perfectly fine. But you on your own. You got to find your place to live. You got everything. So we got to teach. We got to teach choices, and we got to teach consequences for choices. So, but anywho's, well, I'm down to 5% on the battery life on my phone. I'm thinking about getting a new phone. I got an iPhone 11. I'm thinking about getting a new one, like the new 15. But I also got that new stick, that new DJ editor stick. I got it charging and updating. So I'm gonna do a little research on it and see how I can use it. But I got to figure out how to use it and then get the videos linked up. But I think I got, hold on a second. I had to cut a deal. I said 5 G's in my hand. You pass the GED first try, I will give it back, or you pay $500 in rent, and I hold the 5 G's. That will get you the car and an apartment. See? Negotiating. I never had nobody do that for me. I worked in the fields with chicken houses, picking produce, hauling produce, working in the fields with my grandpa, doing this, doing that. Still had chores, played baseball, stuff like that. But when I was able to get my work permit where I could actually go in somewhere and clock in, which was actually here at that time, it was like 13 or 14. You could get a worker's permit, but you couldn't work for like 15 hours a week. There was a lot of stuff here then. There was a lot of cafes, a lot of little restaurants here. I mean, within just jumping and split, whatever. So the one restaurant in one town, she would let me work 15 hours a week. And then there was another, so there was a soda shop. There was another cafe that Bernice, she's gone now, so I can say her name. She would let me work 15 hours a week. And then I jumped on to the hosiery mill and worked the weekends, which was Friday night and Saturday night. So you worked, you worked 24. So you worked 12 and 12 and you got paid. You worked 24, got paid 36 or something like that. I can't remember. So during the week, I would work the 15 hours at one cafe. The other 15 hours I would work, and they would, they paying me cash. And then the one on paper was the hosiery mill that I worked, and that was on paper. So I had 3 jobs. Boy, I tell you what, when Jay started getting money in his pocket, I quit playing sports. I like baseball and stuff like that. At the time, I don't care nothing about it now because that's a whole nother can of worms. But anyway, I started making paper and putting money up. So when I was 15, I bought my first pickup truck. I'm fixing to tell you how old I am. 1993, when I was 15, I bought my first pickup truck. It was a 1993 Toyota pickup truck, 22RE, 5-speed, AM/FM cassette, no air conditioner. I bought it brand new at the Toyota dealership. I gave $2,900, almost like $3,000 for it. I paid $2,300 down on it. Financed the rest of it through World Toyota Omnia. My payment was $119 a month for 5 years, for 60 months. I had a buddy take me down there. I bought the thing. I went in there, I about how to chew on, all this other stuff. Walk in there like I own the place, test drove whenever, the whole 9 yards. Got done, bought the truck, signed for it, was sitting outside on the curb on the parking lot, out in the parking lot, and I was waiting for my dad to show up so he could follow me home, right? The salesman walked out there and said, "What's the matter, man? You good?" And I said, "Oh yeah, man, I'm good. I'm good." He said, "What's the matter?" I said, "Oh, I'm waiting on my dad to get here." And he's like, what's that?" I said, "He gonna ride with me home." He said, "What you?" He said, "You afraid to drive your new truck home?" I said, "No, I don't have no license." He said, "Do what?" I said, "Man, I just have a learner's permit." So at 15, I had a learner's permit. I could drive as long as I had a licensed driver with me. They've changed the rules now, but he's like, "Do what?" I said, "Dude, I'm only 15. I'll turn 16 in like 6 months." He looks at me and turns around and walks away and comes back with the paperwork. He says, I I had no idea. I never so he scanned my driver's license and never noticed that I was a minor. And he freaked out. He's like, "Dude," poof, he was gone. I mean, he was poof. He was like dandelion in the wind, boy. He was gone. My dad got there. I drove the truck home. So I know, and right then I figured out if I wanted anything, I was going to have to bust my ass and get it, get after it, because they ain't nobody going to be handing it to you. Jay wasn't born with no silver spoon up his, it just didn't happen. So that's why I work. I've always worked. So everybody in school thought mom and daddy bought me a new truck. And I was, "Oh, mama's boy, daddy's boy, daddy's boy, daddy's boy." I said, "Daddy didn't buy me shit." So then when I hit 16, I worked all I wanted to work, and that's all I did. So before I got out of high school, actually, that was 15, 16, 17. At 17 years old, or 16, when I could actually drive my truck by myself, I'd already put hydraulics on it, uh, uh, 2 Pro red hopper pumps, 16 switches, Dayton wire wheels, had the interior done, button tucked, interior crushed velvet, had 415 Rockford Falls gates in the back, had a camper shell on it. I mean, it was suited and booted, had neons. I mean, this was in the 90s. I mean, just straight craziness. All the local cops thought I was slinging dope. I mean, it was just, they was like, "Oh, he's slinging dope. He's slinging dope." No, I wasn't slinging dope. I was hitting that time clock though. And it was so funny because one of the town cops pulled me over. We're talking about this, that, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And the town cop at the time, my mom, or actually my aunt, was doing taxes at the time. And he said something to my mom, or my aunt, because we live in a small community. I mean, there ain't but like 600 people in the town that I live in, right? And hold on a second. I got to go, fellas. There's somebody here. I'll talk to y'all later.